What's going on, guys? It's Cimo. Today I'm going to be bringing to you a video on how to play Marvel Snap. Shout out to Marvel Snap for sponsoring today's video. Of course, they're going to enlist the ultimate protagonist to play in the world of protagonists or antagonists, depending on which side of the Marvel universe you prefer. For today's video, we are going to be just going step by step through a game and giving you guys some tips and tricks on how you can first pick up the game, which you can also download by clicking my link down in the description. So we're just right here on the main screen. I've only been playing for just a little bit, so I'm not so far ahead that I have every card that you won't have access to. I still have a majority of the starting cards. So let's go ahead and hop into the game. So each match of the game lasts 6 turns in total, and each round you're going to have a total of 1 energy to spend plus 1 throughout each turn. The main objective of the game, you're going to see 3 objectives here in the middle, is that you're going to want to control 2 out of the 3. So if you're familiar with Domination or King of the Hill, this is going to be very familiar. So down here in the bottom, you see that we have 1 energy. So we want to spend that 1 energy and all of our energy as efficiently as possible. So each of these middle objectives also has a specific condition or effect that it enables. This one right here, the big house, says cards that cost 4, 5, or 6 cannot be played here. So I'm going to go ahead and just throw our Quicksilver out into here. And how you actually own each of the hills is that the power level on each respective card will total in each of the zones. So my Quicksilver has 2 power, which means that at the end of this turn, this is going to resemble a 2. I'm the only one who played a card. Turns are simultaneous. If my opponent played a card, his would reveal as well. But now I control the lefternmost hill. So I have 2 to my opponent's 0. The middle zone has now opened. This is the mirror dimension, which says on turn 4, transform into one of the other locations. So we have 2 energy to spend here. This time I have a Sentinel, which costs 2 with a power of 3 and has an ability that on reveal, I can add another Sentinel to my hand. So this is very good for just generating card advantage, but for also evening out the curve as well. So I want to make sure that I'm going to have the ability to own the big house since we can't play 4, 5, or 6 cost cards here. So I'm going to go ahead and just put Sentinel here, and that's going to give me another copy as soon as I end my turn here. And we see that our opponent played a card in the middle zone. So we're going to get an extra Sentinel. That puts us up to 5. And our opponent played a Colossus for 3. This says an ongoing effect or a continuous effect that says cannot be destroyed, moved, or have its power reduced. Now, as you can see, our opponent now controls the middle zone since they have 3 to our 0 power. We control the left since it's 5 to our opponent's 0. And now we have the Shadowland. This says add a ninja to each side with -2 power. This is unfortunate because now it's going to be a little bit harder for us to control this, but we have 3 energy to use on this turn. So we have a couple of options. We have the possibility to use this Nightcrawler, which is a 2 power that says we can move this once when it's out. We can play another Sentinel as well, which actually gives us 5 power in total. But I think what I want to do is I want to play this Mr. Fantastic here for 3 energy, only 2 power, but it says ongoing adjacent locations have +2 power. So we're going to go ahead and throw him in the middle here, end our turn, and let's go ahead and see what our opponent does as well. This is going to bolster our left side, our middle, and our right. Since he's 2 power, that's going to give us 2 in the middle. You see there that puts our left to 7, our right to 0, and I've never seen this card before. This is Hulkbuster. On reveal, merge this card with a random friendly card at this location. That's sort of a neat ability. So he's going to go ahead and merge that with his ninja here. And that's going to put him at 2 power total. So now he controls 2 out of the 3 objectives, but now that middle zone actually copied the Shadowland, so now there's -2 on both sides once again. So here we are on turn 4. We do have a few options here, as you can see by everything that's being highlighted. Jessica Jones on reveal, if you don't play a card here next turn, it goes to 8 power instead of 4. And then we also have Khazar, which all 1-cost cards have +1 power. I think what we're going to do is we need to actually start taking the board back here. So I think I want to put something over here. I'm going to put Jessica Jones there. I'm not going to play anything else because I'm going to play on these other 2 zones next turn. She'll go to 8, so I'm going to just pass my turn here. Let's see what our opponent does as well. Turns are simultaneous, so once you both end, both cards get revealed, and our opponent played a Jessica Jones as well, so they were thinking the same thing we are. So we didn't really gain any advantage there. So on our turn 5, we're really going to have to make this count. Now, our Abomination is actually able to be played this turn. It has a 9 power, so this is pretty strong, but we could also combine any of our other cards as well. We could combine Sentinel, which is a 2 power, or 2 energy rather, with a Punisher, which is 3 energy. This has an ongoing ability that it gets +1 for each opposing card at that location, which means that if we put this here, this could actually be a lot more powerful than it may seem. The Abomination, though, should be pretty strong in and of its own right, and I think even collectively, the 3 from the Sentinel and the 2 from the Punisher is only 5, and even if Punisher's maxed out, that'll just barely equal 9. So I think what I want to do is here, I want to make sure we can really fight for one of these zones. So I'm going to put the Abomination here, and we'll just pass and see what our opponent does. They're going to play 2 cards. Both the Jessica Jones go up to 8. His Khazar is going to come down for a 4 power and make his 1 energy things buffed a little bit. And then he's also going to play a Hawkeye, which on reveal, if you play a card here next turn, you get +2 power. So on our last turn here, this is it. So we need to control 2 of the 3 zones by the end. Otherwise, it's going to be game over. Now, thankfully, we drew our copy of Hulk, which is a very big card to draw because it is 12 power. That is massive, and being able to turn the tide in our favor. We're already controlling 2 of the 3 here, so we could just play Hulk in this far right side, and then just like that, we will control 2 out of the 3, or excuse me, we'll control all 3, not accounting for anything our opponent does. So they're going to have to do a lot to be able to pass us, but they could do something where they play multiple cards to try to pass us on the other 2 sides. So that is something we need to take into account as well. So we could either try to play for the big Hulk, or we could divide up our resources and see what is going to happen. I think what I want to do is I want to make it difficult for our opponent to win. So I want to see if I can maximize our chances here. So I think I'm going to put Punisher here for 3. I think I'm going to put a Sentinel down for 2. And then I think I'm also going to put a Nightcrawler for 1, just to spread out our numbers a little bit to see if we can really ensure that we're going to clench out this win. So our opponent put a bunch here, so they may already claim that no matter what. So they have a bunch, but our Sentinel gets a boost from that, or excuse me, our Punisher gets a boost. Sentinel gets us a card, doesn't really matter. He's going to double up here, but honestly, we already have these other 2 objectives. Iron Man's big because it doubles the power of everything he has to 22, but because we control the left and middle zone, we end up clenching the win. I know that seemed a bit fast-paced, but that was actually the longest a game could run because I was doing so much explaining to all of you about each of the different interactions that I was letting the timer run out almost every single turn, so you can even play faster if you wanted to. So I really think to hit home just how the game works, I think I'm going to do one more game just so we can see how it plays out, and let's see if we can go for the 2 for 2. I've actually not lost a single match of this since I've started playing, which is kind of fun, so maybe the first loss will come on camera. We'll have to see. But turn 1, our first area is the Baxter building, which says whoever is winning this location gets +3 power at the others. That's a really strong ability, so we want to be fighting for this one as much as possible. So I think just to lead off, let's go ahead and put our Quicksilver here. Quicksilver is a card that always starts in our hand, so that's a neat little ability. We're just going to pass our turn. I imagine our opponent's going to want to also play something here as well, but we're going to be really fighting for this lefternmost zone here, just because getting +6 at the other zones is going to be a significant advantage. So there is Squirrel Girl, haven't seen this before, on reveal at a 1 power squirrel to each other location. So that's pretty good, and I think that actually just applies to our opponent here, so that gives them a significant edge on the other side, but we are winning at this point, so now we are controlling all 3 zones as illustrated by the orange glow on each side. So the second zone is open, which is the big house. Cards that cost 4, 5, or 6 cannot be played here. We saw this in the previous turn as well. So we didn't get a 2-drop, which is a bit unfortunate. So our turn's going to be a bit weak here. So I think what I want to do for this turn is I want to maintain the Baxter building, but the problem is we can only play 4 cards in a particular zone. So I can actually move Nightcrawler if I want to a little bit later because of its ability, which says you can move this once. So for now, I'm actually going to play Nightcrawler here, and we'll just pass. We can move him later if we want to, but for now, we're just going to keep it there. This is a Scarlet Witch, another card we haven't seen before. On reveal, replace this location with a random new one. Interesting ability. And that actually puts us tied here. And now we've changed the zone per the Scarlet Witch's ability, which is now Elysium, which says cards cost 1 less. And that is just generally. That's not just applied to a single card. So that means our higher power cards are going to be much more powerful. And now Onslaught Citadel is online, which ongoing effects here are doubled. And that's pretty significant as as well. So we have a couple of big cards we can play. Since we have the energy reduction from the Elysium, we could play Khazar for 3, which will actually buff both Quicksilver and Nightcrawler. We also have Jessica Jones, which is a nice card as well. I think what I want to do... Ooh, actually, the ongoing effects are double. That means they would actually get +2. So both of those seem pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and throw Khazar over here. And since we actually have the stat reduction too, the big house would actually work here. So we're going to pass. Khazar is going to make all of our other 1 energy minions go up a little bit further. We have Groot coming down, another new card. On reveal, if your opponent played a card here this turn, +3. So we got punished there. Since we did play a card here, he's going to get the boost. And Star-Lord, which is another ability that can also get buffed as well. Khazar is going to buff up, and now we are winning the Elysium, but we are losing the Big House and Onslaught Citadel. So we're moving into turn 4 here, and we're going to have to think how we want to navigate this. I want to think about what I want to do here. I think I want to go ahead and put Jessica Jones in the center. Since it's a stat reduction, we can actually put it in the Big House, and it will work. But then I also want to play something else as well. So I think I want to go with Hawkeye here. Maybe put Hawkeye in a zone that I can get the boost for. Punisher has an ability to be able to capitalize off of the ongoing effects. So I think I'm going to put a Hawkeye here. And for now, we will just pass the turn. I can move Nightcrawler whenever I want. Let's see what our opponent does. They put one in the middle. They have their own Jessica Jones. Okay, so we're not really going to be able to capitalize on that. Hawkeye's going to come down there, though, and that means that we're actually going to tie the Citadel up. So now it's 1-1 for each of us and a tie in the middle. So next we have turn 5. The stat reduction is nice because typically Abomination would cost 5, but now it's down to 4 because the Elysium, and Medusa is also a 1 cost as well. So we can actually get a bit of power here. I can't play Medusa this turn, though, if in that middle zone because I played Jessica Jones if I want her to fully capitalize on that. But Abomination just seems too good not to play. I could also play Abomination Punisher next turn if I really want to, but I want to be able to play as many cards as possible. So I think what I'm going to do for now is let's maybe throw down the Abomination. I want to play something in the Hawkeye zone for sure. And the ongoing effects are double, so I think Punisher might get a little bit more value here. I just don't know what my last card is that I'm going to draw, which makes me a little bit nervous. So to keep our options open, let's actually put Abomination here. I can still play Punisher there next turn. I don't know what the card is that I'm going to draw, so let's see. So Jessica Jones are both going to trigger. Here comes Spider-Woman for an on-reveal. Afflict all enemy cards with -1 power. So that's going to hurt a little bit. That sort of knocks out Khazar's ability. But Abomination is going to come down and give us that 9 power and give us that zone. So this last zone is going to matter significantly here. So 6 power. I can play out my whole hand, which matters a lot. So the question is, how am I going to capitalize on this? So I need to ensure that I get all the power that I can. And I'm already winning in the Citadel here. So the question is, how can I clinch this out? And our opponent's going to be trying to think of how they can do the same. So we need to get more power here. I think what I can do is, if I go Punisher here, as well as Medusa, because Punisher will get +1 for each of our opponent's minions. Medusa gets +2 being in the middle as well. I don't get the double up from Punisher here, but the thing is, I think we might already win this one anyway. I could just maybe even forfeit the left side here because our opponent might go for that. Maybe go... We're already winning that side, though, so I want to, like, force our opponent to actually have to commit there. It's a tough one for sure. Ant-Man will also get a bonus because we have 3 or more cards in the zone. I think we just try to go all the way here. I think we just go everything in the middle. Actually, the middle is going to be pretty strong. I think we're just going to go middle. Let's see what happens. All right, our opponent went left, so I think we can actually win this here because our opponent's trying to get the left side, but we went for the middle, so we're going to maintain this. Khazar's buffing everything. America Chavez comes down, and there we go. We got the middle and the right sides. Our opponent got the left at the last second. So you have to think about how you can mind game your opponent at the very last second there, because if they go for the same zone as you do, you can just be completely out of the game. So we managed to clinch the win once again. We can also collect our rewards, of course. But as you guys can see, this is just a fun little game. This was actually designed by Ben Brode's new company, and so you can sort of see some of the inspiration there. The games are really fast. I mean, you don't really have to put a ton of time into it unless you really want to go the distance, but I think you guys would enjoy it. And if you want to give it a try, be sure to use the link down in the description to download the game for yourself. Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next time.